let's go ahead and have this conversation, and maybe we can get through some of the initial steps and where we're going with this, and the reason why we're asking Gettle to get involved, and the whole purpose behind the program, and how Gettle can actually help out.
Absolutely.
I'm all ears.
Yay. Thank you, Manny. I guess I would, on behalf of J4NG, love to find out, first of all, the goal is to help youth understand what a career in HVAC looks like. What are the initial steps that students that are in high school, right, can do? Is there anything they can do while they're in high school to set them up for success and to look like a really attractive candidate for Gettle? And then thirdly, what entry-level opportunities are available with Gettle and or training opportunities? So those would be my 3 questions for you. First of all, what does a career in HVAC look like?
Well, I'll tell you, a career in a HVAC and or plumbing, because for whatever reason, those two businesses seem to be connected at the hip, if you will. And in doing so, we've identified that there's an essential need for it, especially during this whole pandemic. And with that, we know that having that background, whether it be HVAC or plumbing, regardless of where you go in the world, there's always going to be a need for it, right? Whether you need air conditioning, whether you need heating, whether you need some type of plumbing services, everybody in the world, even third world countries, have incorporated these essential pieces of parts of the home. And in doing so, going through and getting that experience will allow you to travel or go anywhere in the world and still be marketable within that market. The more experience you have, obviously, it tends to pay more. Entry-level folks will definitely make a decent living just based off of what type of business you go with. The smaller business you go with, you may be finding yourself multitasking, and what I mean by that is just wearing many different hats. You could possibly be a dispatcher 1 minute, the next minute you're running the call that you just answered, and before you know it, maybe you're doing the repairs or you're doing an install, which is a totally separate team. Or at the end of the day, you know what, you might be collecting a fee as well too. And so those mom and pop shops really they operate independently and very efficiently. As you get into the larger type corporations such as Gettle, we tend to separate those departments and move forward in concert with one another. So if you're a dispatcher or you're in the call center, then you're strictly doing call center and you're isolated to that. If you're an HVAC service technician, then you're running calls on HVAC service tech as a service technician. And really an HVAC service technician, what you're doing is you're resolving issues, right? A lot of folks, as you go into these homes, a lot of folks don't understand or realize what it entails to be a service technician, or what type of services we offer, whether it be air quality, whether it be a new duct system, whether it be installation, UV lights, maybe just a regular tune-up on your system. Who knows? But our job is to make sure that we try and educate our customers and give them an option of whatever they feel that they need based off some of our recommendations. Now, that being said, there is a stigma. There's an absolutely big stigma with the industry, right? And this, let's just call the elephant out in the room. There's that stigma as it being a blue-collar industry, and typically the commonalities are either prison time and drugs, right? And so what we've done to try and clean that business up is, as Gettle has grown, we've gotten the ability to bring on a full-time HR department, and so that HR department has started vetting all our employees. So every Gettle employee that comes on board, we ask them to submit to a background check, and we ask them to submit to a drug screening. Once they pass those two, then we move forward with the onboarding program. So if anybody's been convicted of a felony, or maybe they have a very severe driving record, we're going to question all those things before we bring those folks on board. And it does a couple things for us, right? More importantly, what it does is it allows the industry to grow with credibility and bring that credibility back. It allows our clients to be able to feel safe and feel like they're not going to be ripped off while the technician's in their home, or if they're going to rip them off by selling them something they absolutely don't need, right? And so that has helped build our credibility within the industry, and that's kind of where Gettle's at this point. Second question. Can you repeat that?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I wanted to find out, I guess this is a 1A question. So you've explained what the types of businesses you can work for in HVAC. What does a typical day look like?
So a typical day, so it's going to vary because depending on who you talk to, regardless of what they tell you, it is still seasonal work, right? You're definitely going to have a rise in effort and temperature in the summertime, along with a need. So in the summertime, it's going to be a long day regardless of what you're thinking, right? So a typical day is going to be a culture of life. So let's kind of preface it and kind of set the stage of what a service technician is about, right? It's not a job, it's not a career, it's an actual culture of life, if you will, right? And what I mean by that is that being a service technician is not a 9-to-5 job. I'm going to, here in the Southwest region, here in Vegas, specifically Vegas, I'm going to put you on a hot roof, right? I'm going to put you in places where you're not going to be comfortable, typically where people don't want to be, right? It's because we're performing a service to make sure that we can provide those comforts, right? So whether it be on a roof or whether it be in an attic, it's still going to be very hot and it's going to be very, very uncomfortable. So you've got to be able to have your mindset, and you've got to be physically fit to be able to endure this, especially during the summertime. And the reason I say that is typically your day starts off at about 7 o'clock in the morning here at the office. Monday through Friday, we have meetings, and those meetings will last anywhere between 30 to 45 minutes long, sometimes an hour. And we'll go over, we'll reinforce whether it's new processes, new equipment, new challenges, whatever, new tools, anything that you can think of, we go over that and continue to reinforce it, build confidence, and make sure that any questions that our technicians have, we can answer those on the spot. We'd much rather have those questions pop up during our training meetings than while they're at the residence, right? Because we expect these folks to be experts, right? And in doing so, most of our folks right now are coming in with little to no experience. They're just coming out of a trade school, and in doing so, we have to spend a lot of time and effort into these folks. At the end of the day, we don't want to throw them out, or at the end of the day, we don't want to throw them out to our clients and go, I hope nothing happens today, right? We've got to make sure that they're technically sound and proficient to be able to run those calls. Not only that, but being a technician is just a small part of it, right? Being able to get into somebody's home and have that credibility and that trust to be able to do that, you have to be able to articulate and build that trust. So there are a lot of soft skills involved in being a service technician. Being a service technician, we look at the whole person concept and not just the technical ability. The units, we're always going to be able to find somebody to be able to fix that unit. It's being able to build that trust with our client, and not just for that call, but for the rest of their tenure, their relationship with us. So with that, I said a normal day will start around 7 o'clock. And mind you, we're a performance-based company, right? So we believe that we're going to give the best calls to the best people for the right reason. So we're performance-driven, that we base all our decisions off of key metrics, right? So we're a numbers-driven company that we try not to make decisions based off of gut feelings. Okay, and that's important for us to do so, because that takes a lot of the bias out of the decision-making process. And so if you're a good tech, or let's just say you're a new tech starting off, I'm going to start you at 7 o'clock in the morning. And if you're good, or you're just starting off, then I'm going to probably have you off around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. All right. If you're better, I'm probably going to have you off around 7 p.m. If you're the best at doing what you're doing, I'm probably going to have you off around 11 o'clock in the evening. And I'm going to make sure that the next day that you come in, I'm probably going to bring you in around 1 or 2 in the afternoon, just so that I can get you that rest. But like I said, we are performance-based, and it definitely allows you to put the effort forward and be paid for it. Have you ever just kind of been to a job, or especially the McDonald's or whatever have you, fast food restaurant, and you see Joe across the room just kind of sitting down, and you're scrubbing and working your butt off, and you're just trying to figure out, why is Joe getting paid the same as me? Okay. Here at Gettle, it doesn't work that way. The more effort and the more performance you put in, the more pay you're going to reap. And with that, as far as pay goes, because a lot of folks are probably going, what do I get paid, right? It's everybody's interest. At Gettle here, we start off all our technicians on an hourly rate. And right now, that's currently $18.75 an hour for a 40-hour work week. So if you do the math, that's $750 a week. And that is just for training itself, right? And typically, once you get out of training, then it's time to start running calls. At that point in time, we'll give you the keys to the van. We'll start dispatching you. And now this is your opportunity to start performing. As you go out there, there's an expectation for you to be able to run calls, create your clients, build that client. And at some point, there's an expectation to drive revenue as well, too, right? So we do have some key metrics. In certain calls, we know that we're going to definitely generate revenue. Other calls, we know that we're just going to perform tune-ups. Just based on those calls, we can do this, and that allows us to forecast our budgets for the year. So with that, as these new techs start coming on board, well, they start running a bunch of these maintenances, which are just tune-ups, right? And based on their diagnosis, we may replace a part. We'll just give the client the report card of what their system looks like, maybe some recommendations for the next couple of years, or maybe introduce some new equipment based on what their concerns are. Right now, especially in the pandemic, a lot of folks really seem to be interested in UV lights and electronic static filters. That really is taken off for us, and we've seen a big rise in that. So some of our new technicians all of a sudden are moving some of that equipment, and now we're getting to a point where our vendors are having a tough time keeping up with, but because it's just what society's asking for right now. But that's typically how it works as far as a technician goes. In the summertime, I'm going to work you 6 days a week because it's busy. It's really busy. Around the fall, winter time, we're gonna scale back to around 5 days a week. But a lot of that depends on call volume. Now, some of the smaller mom and pop shops may go ahead and start a furlough because they don't have the call volume to keep their technicians. Here at Gettle, for the last 3 years, we have not had to furlough or lay anybody off due to low call volume in the fall or the winter time. So it's been really good to be able to have that type of organization and that capacity to still keep everybody employed.
That's great. So my next two questions kind of are informational for youth to know what they should be doing while they're in high school, and then what opportunities are there once they graduate. So you can answer those in whichever order you'd like.
So first off, if there are any, I don't know, it's been over 40 years since I've been in high school, actually 35 years. But in doing so, I don't know what type of classes they offer. But I'll tell you, just being an HVAC service technician, it's more centralized around electricity, right? So our technicians need to understand basic electricity, need to understand how to work a multimeter, understand Ohm's law, with the DEERs and the various settings within the multimeter. So being able to understand a little bit about electricity, understanding what 24 volt means versus 110 or 220 is absolutely important. It's going to be at least it's going to be half of your diagnosis, half of your troubleshooting. So being able to understand that is going to pay big dividends down the road. So continue taking your math class and continue working through that. As far as being able to prep, I know that English, or whether it be basic entry college, COM 101, speech, if there's an opportunity for them to take some speech and start getting comfortable in front of an audience, well, that's really going to go a long way. I had an old boss go, if if I could change my degree, I would make sure that I didn't get my degree in mathematics, even though that's a general language across the world. Being to articulate and talk to somebody is much more beneficial.
Cool. What about OSHA training, CPR, or any of those types of safety classes needed?
So no, a lot of that is going, and that's why we ask that's why we ask and mandate that our folks have some type of technical school a background, so that they understand that gets taught in the technical school in the tech area, and they understand that. But what's really essential is that these guys have their EPA cards. So as they work with refrigerants, there's an EPA law that governs that, and so they have to be able to pass those tests and be certified to be able to handle and work with refrigerant. So that's a prerequisite to that.
Okay. Is that something they can get while they're in high school, or is that at 18 and over?
No, you know what? That's a good question. I don't know. Let me do some research on it. I don't think there's an age limit on it. But at the same time, I never even thought about that.
Yeah. Well,
So
our
I'm taking
goal
that
is,
down.
yeah, our goal is to help our youth get as much done while they're in high school as possible, so that they're more attractive to employers, of course, in their field of study. So then what happens when they graduate? Like, does Gettle offer entry-level type opportunities? Would you, what are the suggestions for youth to be ready to come work for an HVAC company
So
like yours?
we do offer, we don't have an internship program, but we do offer not internships, but entry level type technicians positions. And with that, we ask that these folks graduate from a accredited technical school, and in doing so, we will bring those folks on. They at the tech school, they'll get the basic gist of it, and you can either, depending on which school you go to, you can go to a crash course 6-week course, or you can go to CSN, and CSN will offer a 24-month course. But some folks like to fast track it and get to work as quick as they can. But in doing so, we'll bring those folks on. We'll Gettleize them, as we like to say, and that means that we'll check their system knowledge. We'll we'll take a look at some of their soft skills and see where we need to get them ready. And based on the individual itself, it could take 2 weeks, it could take 6 weeks, but we don't go anywhere past 6 weeks. If the individual's not getting it by 6 weeks, then it's probably best to part ways. But we do have that time and effort. I mean, if you can imagine paying somebody $750 a week, $18.75 an hour for 40 hours a week just to become a technician, there's definitely some effort there. So it's a two-way street.
Yeah. Manny, do you have a preferred, like you mentioned, there's a 6-week class, there's a 24-month class. Do you know of organizations where you'd like to hire from, or are you pretty open to that?
We're pretty open, but you've got some local schools that are here. You've got ATI and a couple other ones. Me personally, I'm new to the business as well. I've been here for the last 20. I'm coming up on 24 months, but I actually I left the military at my 30-year mark and actually came into the HVAC service business just to kind of just step out of my comfort zone, and things seem to be working out pretty well so far. But in doing so, I did go to a course. It was a 6-week course over in Weatherford, Texas, and I think that program is called the Perfect Technician Academy, and that's a 6-week course. And what it does is it's kind of geared towards a military training students. These students will vary anywhere between 6 to 12 students based on the instructor-student ratio. They'll go to school Monday through Saturday, which is a 6-day program, 7 to 4 every single day, and then they'll assign you homework, right? And that homework isn't based on what you learned that day. That homework is based on what you're going to go through the next day, which helps accelerate the course. At the same time, kind of slows you down on homework because you're not reviewing what you No, you're trying to learn something as you go. And so that homework can take you 2 hours or it can take you 4 hours. Right. So now we just went from a 7 to 4 day to about a 7 to 10 day or 7 to 10 hour. And so that's what students need to think about. But at the same time, too, that particular school will house you. And so the only thing you need to do is pay for transportation to either get there and get around a little bit and food. Other than that, that was it. So I think my plane ticket was $300 round trip Southwest, right? $100 Uber fare to get there. Everything else was in walking distance. And food, typically, you can either do Uber Eats or just walk down to the typical burger joint. You're not going to get the healthiest food there, but they do have an Albertsons there where you can go get a salad every now and then, right? So, yeah, that's typically that's exactly what I went through. And expect to have a roommate there as well, too.
Okay.
And Mandy, did you say that was a certificate, the Perfect Technician Academy? Was that just a certificate to be an HVAC technician?
Correct.
Okay.
And so with that, they'll prep you and they'll help you take some tests to pass your test, such as your EPA. If you decide to get a higher accreditation through NATE, then they'll help you with that as well. Typically, that particular school cost on that for 6 weeks is right about $15,000.
Okay. One of the things, and this is good, we can research on our end, is we work with WIOA funded organizations like Workforce Connections is kind of the umbrella organization for that. And if youth qualify, they will pay for training. So we need to find out where they have youth going for training. So yeah, so we'll definitely find that out because it's helpful if youth can get those costs covered.
Yeah, and typically, Gettl's stance is if you have that background training and you have that, you're a tech school graduate, we will commit to you.
Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. Do you have any questions, Kyle?
Yeah, I was just he basically answered what you were asking. What I was wondering as well is what other certifications do you recommend or are the best ones? But you were basically saying that a 2-year degree would be more valuable than a crash course certificate, right?
Absolutely.
In general.
Yeah, and here's why I say this. As Gettle grows and the industry continues to grow, what we're starting to see is a big interest in big industry, right? So investors have realized that this is a big pool that they want to start investing in. And what that's doing is it's growing these companies into organizations, if you will. And some of these companies are starting to compete at the corporate level. And in doing so, being a technician isn't the end all be all, right? That should be a stepping stone to be able to move up in that career progression ladder. And if you decide that, you want to be able to grow with a company or grow yourself into the industry, then a high school diploma is only going to get you to a certain level, right? If you're looking to be some type of manager, a GM, a VP, or you're going to have some credentials, you're going to need some credentials to support that goal. So going to CSN or any other college that supports that type of background is going to help out. Just a basic, even business management degree will get you definitely where you need to be. But in doing so, that is going to help your growth, development, your career, and at some point in time, it's going to increase your checkbook as well too, right? I'll tell you, I've got folks that have been HVAC technicians for the last 5 or 10 years. And this is going to blow your socks off when I tell you this, but of the 30 technicians I have, 5 of those folks have earned over $200,000 in the last year alone. All right, they're actually bringing home their W-2s say $200,000.
Wow, that's awesome.
Awesome.
So the market is out there, right? And they're ready. We're expanding at a rate that it's very hard for us to keep up with. And you asked me how many locations we have now, and I'll tell you right now, we've got 2 in California right now, which is Southern California, Simi Valley, and Corona. We're actually getting ready to close a couple deals. One in Orange County, which is around the Newport area, and one in San Diego. All right, we've got one here in Las Vegas, unfortunately just one in Nevada. In Arizona, we're in Phoenix and we're in Tucson. In Texas, we're in Austin and we're in San Antonio. We're also looking at acquisition in Louisiana and trying to move into Florida as well too. So our growth rate is phenomenal right now. We are part of one of the Fortune 500 companies with a growth rate of greater than 100% right now. We started off as a small mom and pop company in 1939 with the Gettle brothers over in Phoenix. Ken Goodrich bought the company in, I believe, 2014, bought it for a small fortune, and has turned it into a $200 million company. So I'll tell you, there is some opportunity for these folks, especially if you want to stay, if you're going to stay in the industry for a while, get your degree.
Totally.
Right?
And then you mentioned as long as it's from an accredited institution or training program, right? Do you recommend any other schools? You mentioned ATI, and then or any ones that you guys prefer, or are you pretty basically open, and then you test their knowledge when they get to your?
We do. I mean, at the end of the day, these folks come from accredited institutions, and I don't want to show any type of bias whatsoever. So whatever deal that you guys can get, and whatever our students can get, is going to be satisfactory so long as it's accredited, right? You know, so I don't want to show any bias.
Yeah.
No, that's
Besides,
great.
I'm not getting paid for that.
So Manny, as we end here, I wanted to see what are the characteristics you find in your best techs?
So I'll tell you, I do 100% of the hiring here for our HVAC service technicians. So I'm constantly interviewing these folks, guys and girls, every single day. And I'll tell you, what I look for is the whole person concept. So it starts when you walk in the door and you shake my hand, or whether we're doing a fist bump or an elbow bump, just based on current dynamics, how you're dressed, and whether or not you're looking for a job and how much you're going to put forth that effort. So I'm looking at your nonverbals. I'm listening to your choice of words. I'm listening intently on what you want to do and what you think you can help the company out with. So a big portion of that is going to be the actual person themselves. I mean, you can have this much experience, but if you can talk to a newly painted wall and until the paint dries, then you're the person I'm looking for, right? Really, I'm looking for very outgoing, influential folks that have a can-do attitude. You know, confidence goes a long way in this industry.
That's great, because that's exactly what our students learn in J4NG. So
I like that can-do attitude.
yeah, that's great. Well, we so appreciate you, Manny, taking the time to come and talk with us. We have a speaker list for our specialists, so we'll put this on there so that any student that comes to them and thinks they might be interested in HVAC, we want them to listen to this. But we will be certainly the young man I told you about, we'll be getting him this information, and then as he progresses, he may have some more questions for you. So.
Okay, and I'll tell you what, is he local here in Vegas?
Yes.
All right, I'll tell you, if he wants to pass along my information, if you guys want to accompany him down, I'd be more than happy to sit down with him in this arena, just give him a snapshot of kind of what the organization, the operation looks like, and maybe that might be a little bit more beneficial to him, you know. So
that'd be excellent. So terrific.
Thank you very much, Manny. Appreciate you giving us the opportunity.
Absolutely. No, thank you for your time. All right. You guys have a wonderful day. And if you need anything, just give me a call. All right. We'll set another meeting up whenever you guys feel ready.
Terrific. Thanks so much, Manny.
Awesome.
Thanks,
All right.
Kyle.
Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.